What's going on, everybody? Mike McIntyre here, back from All Things Sports, bringing you another brand new video. And today I'm super pumped about this because I have the brand new 2026 Adidas Predators with the fold over tongue. So let's get into this brand new video. Alright guys, so before we begin, you know the drill. Please hit the like button, hit the bell notification, hit the subscribe button, take care of those three things. Watch the entire video, it always helps the channel out, and let's get into this brand new unboxing and review. Alright guys, so I'm not doing unboxings as often as I would like to, I just don't have the time anymore. But when I do get the opportunity to do a brand new video unboxing and on-feet look at a brand new pair of football boots, I really do want to take that opportunity. And one boot that I'm always excited about is the brand new Predator. Ever since they sort of rebranded them and relaunched them a couple years ago and they brought back the fold over tongue, I've been a huge fan. I've had the last two versions of them, but I have the brand new 2026 new Predators in the new gunmetal launch colorway, and we're going to take a quick look at them today. So let's get into this unboxing. So it is the fold over tongue, top of the line elite version. Flip the lid open. You do get a string bag, which I'll show you quickly. So you get a Predator branded string bag. It has Predator on both sides of the bag with an Adidas logo down at the bottom. You get that zippered pocket on the inside. Nice sort of, you know, infrared kind of accented strings. So it's nice that you get the extra, but we're here to check out the brand new boots. All right guys, so there's a quick look, a first look at the brand new 2026 Adidas Predators. There's a few differences with this model this time around. So we have a very slight sort of aesthetic redesign. That seems to be the case from year to year. So from my 2024s to the 25s, obviously there was a slight redesign. The Predator element was redesigned in those two previous years and this year as well. The big thing this time around is we don't have hybrid touch. We have this new nano strike upper materials. So I'll do my best to kind of break it down based off of what I can see here. You do have a new Predator element again. You still get the nice fold over tongue. The shape of it is ever so slightly. It's been tweaked from 24 to 25 and now to 2026. In terms of the material, in previous generations it felt like a little bit more of a hybrid touch material. This time around you have that nice sort of faux leather on the inside of the tongue and on the underside of the tongue where the Adidas logo is, but the top of it is definitely more of that kind of nano strike technology, and that's sort of what it feels like. So from what I can make out here, you still get the kind of overall silhouette hasn't changed. The overall shape hasn't changed. You still get an external heel counter with the strike frame. The power spine is back for the first time since 2007 or 2008, if I can remember. I had those Predators, so I'm a huge fan of that. The idea here was you were supposed to have a little bit more of a rigid sort of sole plate here to prevent the boot from flexing backwards, so that when you put some power in a hit, it would really kind of bounce and spring-like affect the ball out and get you a little bit more power in your shot. That was the idea. In my opinion here, you can definitely feel a little bit more rigidity through the midfoot here, so maybe it has reinforced that sole plate. I do really like the strike frame. That's been a huge fan of. I've been a fan ever since they came out with the speed frame back in 2010. So you have the external heel counter, your sort of teardrop shaped studs, if you will. Not much has changed there. A really nice fancy finish on the top of the line one. And then the inside of the boot has the new Predator element, so it's a little bit more laid back. It's not these aggressive elements. In 2024, we had a Mania-inspired, very aggressive Predator element. Last year, it was a little bit more like the Power Swerve model or the Pulse model with a little bit of a thinner Predator element design. This one's a little bit more of a Predator Precision inspired with the wavy lines coming through on the Adidas branding. But the Predator element itself, a couple of these sort of rectangles here have a grip-like texture to them, but it's not as grippy as the Mania-inspired 2024 Predators, that's for sure. It's a little bit more similar to last year's Predator, so you do have a grippy element, but there's just not as much surface area. Again, similar to last year's model. You still have your texture here, but it's built into the upper with this new nano strike. So the nano strike, the best way I can describe it is, it's a knitted base of an upper, but it's got a very kind of like Nike almost inspired ACC kind of coating on top, if that makes sense. So it is a knitted upper with these kind of textured, rough, sandpaper-like elements spread out through the toe box area over here, and that kind of texture fades into the Predator elements, if that makes any sense. From what I think, there's a seam right here that goes up here and a seam up here. The Nano Strike is really only this top area of the boot here. The cut of the boot is the same. You still have those sort of memory foam pads on the inside. And it comes this year, the launch colorway is this 2002 David Beckham inspired gunmetal Predator. So if I'm not mistaken, I think it was the Gunmetal Manias that we saw, this red tongue but a dark gray gunmetal base. And we haven't really seen it since. So in terms of a launch colorway, this is definitely going to get the nostalgia factor back for those that were fans of that gunmetal Predator. I do like the overall look of it. From what I can say about the tongue, I think I liked the shape of the 2024 tongue better than last year's 2025 tongue. This year, it's a little bit more similar to the 2025 tongue. And again, it's got that sandpaper-like coating on it. But it does look like it fits over the laces nicely. I felt like last year's tongue was a little bit too narrow. Once it tapered off, it was a little bit too narrow, and I would have liked it to be a little bit wider like the 2024 one to get a nice smooth covering of the laces. I think this one, the way it kind of sits and the way it folds over, I think you're going to get a nicer finish than last year's tongue to cover the laces. Again, that's something I'm a big fan of. So let's send it over the turf so we can talk about fit and feel, and then we'll wrap the video up. Alright guys, so slipping the Predator on feet for the very first time, I can't hide the fact that this one feels significantly narrower. It was the first thing I noticed. I could barely get my wider foot into the boot. It's basically where that elastic sits around the front of the boot, where you have those middle 3 studs in the sole plate. It feels like it's a one-piece tongue design. And for me, that definitely spoils the overall fit. And they've really narrowed that part of the boot. So for my wider feet, I'm really having a hard time getting my foot to sit in the boot comfortably from right out of the box. Will this stretch over time and become a wider fitting boot? I'm not so sure. We have a knitted base upper. The hybrid touch, I've had experience with that in the past. It does tend to soften up. I would say it stretches just a touch compared to a knitted boot. This one though, because you have a knitted base in that forefoot, I'm not sure it's going to stretch enough. They've definitely done something to stiffen up the upper and narrow it at that point compared to previous generations. I really am a big fan of the way my heel sits in the boot. I love the opening, the way my heel sits and all of that, the way that the last part of the boot comes up and sort of hugs your Achilles. Huge fan of that. Huge fan of the external heel counter. I can only really test the power spine once I actually put these to use, but for now, it does feel like the sole plate is ever so slightly stiffer. The big takeaway here is the stiffness from right out of the box of the upper. It's not stiff like Predator Edge Stiff, which was just a horrible upper. It's just not nearly as soft or as flexible from right out of the box as the last 2 generation Predators. We'll have to see once these boots get some use how they soften up and how they perform. But from right out of the box, just know that they definitely fit a wider foot like mine, much narrower than last year's, which is a little bit of a disappointment. If you're interested and you have a narrow foot, that might not be a concern for you, go true to size. I have no doubt that the true to size will fit you fine. Let's send it back to the desk so I can wrap the video up. Alright guys, so there's my review of the brand new 2026 Adidas Predator with the new Nano Strike Plus upper. I'm a little bit of a mixed opinion here. I'm a huge fan of the Predator and I really want to like the boot. I like the overall design, I like the overall colorway, I like the launch of it, I like the tongue, I like the elastic and all that stuff. Super stoked to see the power spine back and see that sort of strike frame, sole plate and engineering keep the sort of base of the boot. I like the look of it, I like the overall shape of it. It's too narrow right here. So if you were to draw a line across these 3 studs right through the middle, right through here where your foot interacts with it, it's just too narrow. I can barely get my foot in, and you definitely notice the lack of flexibility and the lack of softness in the upper from right out of the box, which is a little bit of a disappointment. That's not to say that they won't soften up over time and become a really nice flexible upper, but the last 2 generation of Predators, particularly the 2024 one, for whatever reason for me, the way the tongue fit and that hybrid touch upper really led to a nice soft flexible upper, and last year's as well. A little bit of a less aggressive Predator element compared to 24's, but a really nice hybrid touch. So last year I just wish the tongue sat a little bit wider. That was my one complaint. This tongue looks to cover the laces very nicely. I like the shape of it, but the upper might be the deal breaker for some. So please leave a comment. I always get an answer out to you. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. I'm Mike McIntyre, All Things Sports. I'm signing off for now. Let me know what you guys think. I'll catch you in the next video. Till then, take care. Peace.